How do I tell a story of a vineyard that unexpectedly grew into something we never intended? How do I find a way to put together all the memories of the sacrifices and hard work and do what my story is supposed to do? Ensure it will last and inspire the next generation. It began right here many years ago. So work hard and take care of these vines. Make sure you can taste our delicious grapes in every bottle. Thank folks for the business, and remember, our wines better make the ladies smile.
I tell you, we've been very lucky and very blessed. And the biggest thing, you know, BD always said, make a pretty girl smile. And that's what my goal is.
Well,
to
make wines.
Make wines. I thought it was make pretty girl smile.
But Big D and Dad, they've always said, never forget where you come from. Always remember who you are and treat people right, you know, just the way you want to be treated. And we're going to keep on doing that. When my grandfather and father first planted these grapes, we had a agreement with a big winery out of New York, and they had promised $350 per ton to grow native muscadine grapes. They said that muscadine grapes made some of the best sweet wines in the world, and they needed more of them. So my dad and uncle and grandfather got it together and decided they would grow these grapevines, and it takes about 4 years for these little vines to fully mature. And while we were waiting on our first big crop, they dropped the price to $150. And what in the world are a whole bunch of boys from the country going to do with a whole bunch of grapes? And I think they decided that the wine business sounded a little bit better than the jelly business, and so they got busy stomping grapes and making wines.
We knew absolutely nothing about making wine at all, and my father did a lot of research, tried to figure it out. You know, a lot of people just say, hey, you just take grapes and press them and it does it naturally, which it does. It's a very natural process. However, we all know that making things naturally sometimes doesn't always turn out right.
They interviewed an old winemaker who used to work for Paul Garrett, who was the leading winemaker before Prohibition. And so this gentleman shared some of the recipes with my dad and uncle, and of course the first batches of wine probably were not all that drinkable, but eventually Dad went on to school a little bit and learned some of the techniques that some of the other winemakers in the United States were using, and applied those techniques to our muscadine wines, and eventually turned things around a little bit.
We were so small that no bottle companies would actually sell to us. But luckily we had a local hardware store right down the road called the Trading Company. And there's a guy actually works here now who used to own it named Bruce.
Back in 1976, Mr. David come in, his brother Dan, and come in and said, it needs some mason jars and some sugar. Well, I said, wait a minute, you boys, what are y'all doing around here, you know?
We bought them mason jars simply because we couldn't afford wine bottles back then. You had to buy things by the tractor-trailer load, and we just didn't have enough money to purchase a whole tractor-trailer load of wine bottles.
He said, we're gonna open us a winery up in Rose Hill. I said, we need the mason jars and all to get started with. I said, well, I reckon I'll let you have them. I said, but I want to be one of your first customers, all I can tell you.
The state saw a need that they needed to start supporting winemaking from North Carolina grown grapes. So they gave us a tax exemption on the alcohol tax that the state charges each and every bottle. So Dad and Uncle Dan took this price break to the customer, so our wines were a little bit cheaper than everybody else's, and our business grew from about 20 cases a year to about 44,000 cases by 1983. And by 1983, we ran out of room. Dad borrowed a whole bunch of money from the bank here in Rose Hill and bought a farm just up the road from the old winery and built a brand new winery capable of making about 50,000 cases a year. In 1984, unfortunately, some fancy lawyers with little skinny ties came down from New York and decided this tax break was unconstitutional. Went to the Supreme Court and got ruled unconstitutional. We lost that tax break, and sales dropped from 44,000 cases to 18,000 in 1 year. Eventually, my dad's house got taken by the bank. All the good equipment that we had was sold up until 1995, when we caught some lucky breaks and things sort of turned around for us then. Back in 1995, 60 Minutes aired a show, said, drink a glass of red wine, it's good for you.
So the answer to the riddle, the explanation of the paradox, may lie in this inviting glass.
So all across America, people started wanting to drink red wines, and we didn't have a lot of sweet red wines out there. So the folks in the South who liked their sweet tea, they also liked sweet red wines. So they gravitated over to our wines and started buying and drinking those. We went from 8,000 cases a year to 13,000 cases, from 13,000 to about 18,000 the very next year. Where are we gonna get these grapes from? So we started calling our local farmers saying, listen, we're in need of some sweet muscadine grapes and we'd love for you to come grow them for us. So we started signing contracts to grow grapes. Today we have over 49 families that grow over 1,200 acres of muscadine grapes, which are all pressed in Rose Hill the day that they're picked. And we're making somewhere in the neighborhood of about 980,000 gallons per year. A lot of hard work by a lot of people smarter than me.
We strive to be an entertainment destination. We're trying to do things that allow people to have fun. Our tours, our wine tastings, murder mysteries and dinner shows, hosting private parties and weddings, producing good old boy Southern music festivals, with the climax of the year being our annual grape stomp. It's just something that you have to come and experience. Anything that will allow folks to have a good time while they're visiting Duplin Winery, and that's our goal.
We want you to get loud. The louder you are, the more wine I'm apt to pour, so no inhibitions, let your hair down, let's have a good time.
When folks walk in our door, we first realized they had a choice not to come, but they chose to come see us. And we're just as grateful as we possibly could be for that support.
And remember, our wines better make the ladies smile. The ladies smile.